Good morning. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Before we get into this story, I want to give you an idea of the dangers of this kind of thing. This culture, this media culture, this social media culture, this political culture has a propensity and for very selfish reasons to pit one group of people against another because the friction causes drama that they can sell advertising with. Because the friction they can causes drama that they can sell advertising with. That's why. Why? You got to keep it rolling. You got to keep it going. You got to keep something happening. They are the instigators that you found in middle school and high school. It's the kids who never really want to get in the fight, but they want somebody else to fight. They're the mean girls who say that, she said this about you, and I wouldn't take that from her. And because they want that conflict, because that's how they get their clout. Mainstream media, mainstream big tech and social media, very same thing. There are YouTube channels that are based on one thing, talking bad about another YouTuber. Their whole channel, their whole thing is based on talking bad and talking trash about another person's YouTube channel. It's the ultimate in clout chasing. So these vaunted media giants like the New York Times and the Washington Post and the LA Times, they are not any different. This is why you get this sort of stuff. The Washington Post had to issue an outrageously amazing correction about the story about the Black Missouri teen that got shot. Now, we're going to talk about that in a second. The thing is, though, how did this happen? Well, this young man, let's see, and his name is, what's his name? Ralph Yarl. Ralph Yarl was sent to pick up his siblings, and he went to the wrong house. He's 16 years old. He went to the wrong house, and an 84-year-old man who thought, white dude, thought he was being robbed, thought he was going to be the victim of a home invasion. Why? Because it's the conflict that media constantly pumps in through their idiot boxes, TVs, constantly pumps in the from the movies to the commercials to the about home security and all this stuff that they continue to sell because they benefit selling the conflict and the drama. Had this 84-year-old dude freaked out, so he was going to protect himself. So he shot. Hit the kid in the head and in the arm. And then when he figured out that it was a 16-year-old kid standing outside his door, I mean, he was scared. He was scared because media, and God, I want black people to get this. I want people to get this. Media has made the black male scary. Media has. Are there people who have ill intent? Most certainly. But to what degree? Media continues to make the black male scary. And there are a lot of offshoots from that. RuPaul is not frightening to you because this continued demasculization of black males continues to happen. Now, that's another whole other video. And if you want to talk about that, just write that down in the comments. This is going to be a little bit more than you had bargained for. This is why you need to watch to the end of the video. Do not bail out because this is incredibly important that you get this. This man, what is his name? His name is Mr. Lester. I'm trying to figure out what his first name is because I want to give Mr. Lester his deal. Let's see here. I can't find out his first name real quick. Andrew Lester is his name. 84-year-old man. Sees this young, strapping 16-year-old black kid at his door. He thinks he's about to be robbed and beaten. Why does he think that? Because Lester's a racist? Probably not. He thinks he's about to be beaten and robbed because media has put that in people's heads. Now, at the same time, you have to be careful because at the very same time, yes, this madness does happen. It does happen. But does it happen as much as media would have you believe? Well, of course not. Now, what else happens when these kind of things happen and media pushes them? You see a pushback. You see this pushback, and then you see pushing and pushback until you get conflict and drama. Eventually, and in social media, eventually somebody's going to say, well, white people are being attacked and blah, 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 blah. And then you see this because now you can sell the conflict. It turns into this behind me, and you can monetize that crap if you are social media, if you are mainstream media. This is advertising. This you can sell advertising to. This picture behind me is a picture of a shoe store about a mile and a half from where I live. Maybe a little further than a mile and a half. Maybe 2 miles from where I live. This happened during the George Floyd riots. No, George Floyd wasn't killed here. No, not by anybody here. Not by a Tampa police officer. No. But this happened 2 miles from my house. This right here. And was monetized by local media and national media. And how do you say it was monetized, Willie? Because on the news programs, they sold advertising. So this death and destruction was monetized. They need this. They need this desperately, even if they have to create it, especially if they have to create it. That's what's important. That's what's important that you get. All right, you've hung in there this long. The correction that the Washington Post had to make was that this 16-year-old Ralph Yarl. This is what they said. Here's what they said. The Washington Post on Tuesday issued a correction to a version of a newsletter that went out falsely, stating that Ralph Yarl, the Black Missouri teen shot earlier this month when he arrived at the wrong house, was killed. He was not killed. He was not killed. You would think that this is something that you would, if you are these major media giants that we're supposed to, that the rest of us out here, and doing these podcasts should bow down to, because they have all these degreed, credentialed journalists. We should bow down to them. You would think that this is something they would have asked the question: how is he? Did he die? Just because you get shot don't mean you die. Just because you have a heart attack don't mean you die. Just because you have a stroke don't mean you die. Just because you're in a car accident doesn't mean you die. Somebody should have asked the question. The correction was a previous version of this newsletter has an inaccurate headline for the second story. Ralph Yarl, the black teen shot in Missouri, did not die. The newsletter has been corrected. Now, the problem is, once this stuff gets out, it's out, right? And now it's a flashpoint. And the idea is they need a flashpoint. They call it a flashpoint for a reason. You see this? This fire? They call it a flashpoint for a reason. Mainstream media need a flashpoint. Authoritarian governments need flashpoints so they can run in and fix it for us as we gladly turn over any of our rights. That's what that's all about. So when they make these errors, I don't trust that the errors were made innocently. I believe that they are calculated events meant to create flashpoints. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.